Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for our senior enlisted leaders for being here today. I want to focus my time on helping our service members grow their families. It should be good for the military because, you know, you have generation after generation of military service. So we're just growing our future force. Every day, our servicemen and women risk their lives to defend this country, many at the expense of having a family. And I know too many service members struggling with infertility who feel like they have to delay having children to save up to pay for IVF out of pocket, or even worse, who end up choosing to leave the military in order to afford the care. That's why I've been fighting for years to ensure that TRICARE covers assisted reproductive care, including IVF. And we came close last year with a bipartisan solution out of this very committee in both the House and Senate NDAAs. But Speaker Mike Johnson personally took it out in conference. This was done despite President Trump's campaign promise that the government would, and I quote, pay for all costs associated with IVF treatment. The Commander-in-Chief should make good on his promise for military families right now. Our heroes suffer from infertility at roughly twice the rate of the general population. And yet the majority of service members who need IVF and other assisted reproductive services to have children, the out-of-pocket cost can easily exceed $40,000. And TRICARE only provides limited coverage of IVF to our military families, far less than we members of Congress receive. For each witness, in your experience, do you believe service members and the mission would benefit if TRICARE fully covered IVF so troops and their families would not have to choose between continuing their service and building the families they want? And if each one of you could answer that. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Senator. Good to see you again. I can't speak personally. I'm not certainly not an expert on IVF and its impacts, but as a father of 6, I can certainly appreciate the value of having great children that become great leaders in the future, much like Senator Ernst's daughter. So I appreciate supporting and ensuring that we provide overall the best possible health care that we can for our service members.
Thank you. Sir, Major Wyman.
Senator, great to see you again. I appreciate the pain that some of these families are dealing with the costs. Having known a few of them myself, that is a real issue.
Thank you.
Senator, I agree with my two shipmates at the right. I think anybody who serves their country deserves access to world-class medical care across the entire gamut of anything they could possibly need.
Thank you.
Senator, I agree with my colleagues. It is because it doesn't just apply to somebody who had a physical injury or just can't have the child. If in the future fight we get into something heavy, it also involves a lot of care planning. So you're about to go into danger, and you want to plan something out, or you have a family history of something, and you want to plan this out. We do what we can with the policy of today, but should this become available in the future, it'd be a good option.
I couldn't agree with you more because I've talked to many service members who want to freeze their reproductive material prior to going into a combat zone, especially after the lessons learned in Afghanistan where so many troops stepped on landmines and as a result became infertile. Senator Major Wolf.
Thank you for that question, Senator. We estimate there's somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 or so airmen in the United States Air Force that would kind of fall into the category that you describe of folks that are seeking this kind of treatment. And like my colleagues, I totally support anything that's going to reverse the erosion of our military health care benefits that we've observed over the years, and this would certainly be a welcome.
Thank you, Senator Major.
Senator, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I echo what my teammates said, especially when we talked about, through our years of service, the kind of decline in access to care and what's kind of covered in that care as well, to include reproductive therapy to kind of help military families have children. So definitely is something that, concerned about that we have to address. When you're serving your nation, we owe you the best care you could possibly get.
Thank you. I think this is also a recruitment and retention issue. This is an issue of basic fairness and honoring the commitment military families make to our country. When it comes to building families that they so desperately want, our service members deserve at least the level of care that members of Congress receive. And so this is why I'm going to continue to fight to pass my IVF for Military Families Act, which would require TRICARE to cover IVF for active duty uniformed service members and their dependents. And I hope that President Trump and my colleagues will work with me to fulfill his promise to help our families, and help them achieve their dreams. Thank you.
Senator, if I could, sorry, you said active duty. Will you also be chasing the reserve component?
So that was part of the deal. We had to make an NDAA in order to get it passed. I would love it for the reserve components as well. I think that if we're going to call up our troops, I think it should be there for everyone. But sometimes in the sausage making in Congress, you end up having to make some deals. I think we start with the active duty families. I would love the coverage to be for everyone who wears our nation's cloth. Thank you.